Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to the long-awaited celebration and formal ribbon cutting of the Steer Center. We will begin with an opening prayer from sacristans David Salazar and Alex Schneider.
God of friendship and community, we thank you for the joy and celebration of this special occasion. Thank you for the vision and work of those who made this long-awaited grand opening possible, from the architects to construction partners to our government officials.
For our generous donors who funded the opportunity for our community and closeness to grow in a tangible way through the use of this incredible building, especially the Commons. It is in this space that we have expanded our circles and connections with friends both old and new.
We thank you for the conversations, service opportunities, and spiritual growth that have already manifested in the D'Amour Center for Faith, Service, and Justice, a space that offers safety, inclusion, and comfortability that we long for.
We thank you for the faculty who have already taught us so much within these walls, from theology to history to math to languages. This building is already home to so much academic excellence and growth, of which we feel so grateful to take part in.
We thank you for the creativity that has been encouraged and that has flourished in the Coleman Digital Media Lab and Innovation and Design Lab, and for those faculty who dedicate themselves to help us flourish creatively in those spaces.
We thank you for those hardworking staff who provide us nourishment and service through the cafe, as well as those who work to keep this beautiful space looking its best at all times.
We thank you for the administrative work that flows out of this building on behalf of the students, for the events, programs, and meetings that are born and bred in the Student Life Office, and for those who work to serve us to the highest level.
Finally, God, we thank you for the opportunity to call the Steer Center home, for the friendships created, the passions fueled, needs met, and love we felt within these walls. May all those who brought us to this day, the Board of Trustees, administration, faculty, staff, and students of Canterbury School see this building as a true manifestation of Canterbury's call to community, innovation, service, and justice. May all who walk through these doors find themselves to be welcome and included in the Canterbury community. Amen.
Thank you both, and also a special thanks to George Tu, who was playing the carillon just now, and Neil Yao will play the school song, so listen carefully at the conclusion of the ceremony. We could not have asked for a more beautiful afternoon to finally be here on this hilltop together as the Canterbury family brings us, our students, staff, faculty, alumni, friends, and family members, the Board of Trustees, the great class of 1971 who celebrates their 50th reunion this weekend, and everyone who made this extraordinary project come to life, from benefactors and architects to builders and New Milford leadership. Let us take a moment to soak in this time together. Many of you have heard me tell this story before, but the description, as written in our very first piece for what became the Steer Center, bears repeating. Quote, in January 2017, a group from the SLAM Collaborative spent time on Canterbury's campus exploring, imagining, and engaging in conversation with our students, faculty, and staff. The goal was simple, to take a deep dive into our community, mission, goals, and aspirations as we began to intentionally develop a mission of Canterbury now in its second century. This mini master campus planning process was both invigorating and informative, and the results were clear. This is a school that places the student experience firmly in the center of our work, past, present, and future. Following 2 years of intense planning and fundraising, we gathered to celebrate the groundbreaking in October 2019. The Steer Center opened last November, much to the delight of our students who were navigating the challenges of COVID. To be sure, the Steer Center has galvanized our campus center with the Wallace Mall and the Chapel of Our Lady, sitting squarely at the heart of the academic, athletic, artistic, and residential branches of our community. Consistently and amazingly throughout, the collaboration generosity, and vision of Bob and Lauren Steers were both steadying and inspirational. From the blue sky board session with Post-its, the color palette, furniture, and facade discussions in their living room, the day they climbed into the ceiling of the foyer when the building was just about done, and their unwavering commitment to keeping students at the center, their presence has made all the difference. Now the Steer Center stands as a physical and philosophical representation of what centers and differentiates Canterbury. Excellent and innovative academics paired with student programming driven by our students, all set within a steadfast framework of values and a commitment to ethical leadership that has been carried forward by Canterbury's Catholic heritage and founding in 1915. This is a space that invites interdisciplinary problem solving in the Coleman Digital Media Lab, that inspires conversation around faith, service, and justice in the D'Amour Center, and that literally brings students together across forms, day and boarding, hometowns and countries, interests, and friend groups. There is no question that the aspirational quotation we use when applying for a Hearst Foundation's grant for the Innovation and Design Lab has proven itself true. Quote, "The most creative spaces are those which hurl us together. It is the human friction that makes the sparks." Today, we also celebrate the gorgeous Game-Changing Student Center, an area that reflects the breadth and depth of love, generosity, and devotion to Canterbury of Nick and Joelle Ragland. For the first time publicly, we are very proud to announce that the Steer Center Commons is now officially named the Ragland Commons. Before I turn it over to Bob Steers, I want to thank our students and student leaders who have played a role throughout, from those very first focus groups in 2017 to the class of 2020 who watched a hole in the ground transform into a building that they could not enjoy, the class of 2021 who helped establish the programming and culture of New Spaces, and now the class of 2022 who stands with us this afternoon. This is the first group of 6 formers to enjoy an entire senior year with the Steer Center, an integral part of their daily pace and pattern of your lives on our hilltop. Now, every graduating class of Saints will proudly consider the Steer Center part of their Canterbury experience, academically, socially, spiritually, remarkably. And now it is my honor to welcome the president of our Board of Trustees and proud graduate of the class of 1971, Bob Steers.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. And I want to welcome everybody first and foremost, students, faculty, staff, trustees, parents, and of course, the great class of 71. Lauren and I and our whole family are really excited and proud to be here today. We're especially because, as we know, this has been a major part of our lives for a few years, and candidly, we weren't sure this would ever happen. And you know, being here on this day in this beautiful weather, being able to celebrate this with all of you is really amazing. I do want to say that today's celebration really isn't about any one person. More importantly, we're here to recognize what this community has accomplished together beyond just building this beautiful building. As you students all know, this is first and foremost a student center that's located in the heart of the campus intentionally. It is symbolic of what we can all do together when we put our minds to it. And what I think we have here today in Canterbury is among the best small boarding schools in America. 4 years ago, the trustees asked Rachel to share her vision for the school and how we on the board could help transform the student experience. Rachel had been here for less than 1 year at that time. Her priorities then are embodied in this building today. And as I said, first and foremost, this is a student center for students located intentionally at the heart of our campus. But more important than the location is what goes on, which touches every aspect of student life. Starting with the magnificent Raglan Commons, which we will be celebrating today. It's a place where students gather, which encourages community, friendships, collaboration, and importantly, inclusion. And as you know, as Rachel mentioned, the D'Amour Center's focus is on ethical leadership, service, social justice, and faith, all of which are critical building blocks in developing young students, you, into tomorrow's leaders. Inside the classrooms, we are proud to have the Coleman Digital Lab, Digital Center, the Makers and Innovation Lab, and many additional spaces to encourage innovation and growth as our world evolves, which allows you to meet you where you live. I'm not surprised, but I'm incredibly proud of how the Canterbury community came together to support this project. It took a lot of people working together to bring Rachel's vision to life. And the school's leadership team and the Board of Trustees came together to overcome multiple financial and logistical hurdles to get the project launched. I'd like to take a minute to recognize all of those without whose help this transformational project would not have been possible. To start, it's important to note that this building was 100% paid for by donations from the Board of Trustees and key alums. I'd especially like to recognize the Raglan and D'Amour families for their extraordinarily generous gifts to this project. Their impactful spaces are the cultural centerpieces of the center. Also, I want to express our deep appreciation for the many gifts from distinguished alums, some of whom are here today. Greg Coleman, Bill Wallace, the Hearst Foundation, the Woodward Foundation, and the Gladys Brooks Foundation. Thank you for your invaluable gifts and support. So it was against all odds that this building was completed on time and on budget in the height of the COVID pandemic. It was a time when most construction companies were completely shut down for many months. SLAM's Jeff Gaunt led the architectural team that turned Rachel's vision into architectural reality that we see today. Jeff and SLAM's leadership were central to our success. Thanks to Justin Giampaolo of Burlington, who ran the project, and Greg O'Neillia, who's the owner of O&G, the parent company of Burlington. I want to thank them for an almost flawless execution during COVID and seamlessly collaborating with SLAM and the school leadership throughout. And of course, we couldn't have accomplished any of this without Canterbury's dynamic duo of Steve Carlton and Andrew Messenger, who oversaw all aspects of this great project. It took deep knowledge and relentless collaboration to pull everything together, and Steve and Andrew brought these skills every day. Last but not least, my wife Lauren was immersed in virtually every aspect of this project from start to finish and cared deeply about the impact the center would have on youth students. From the floors, and as Rachel mentioned, crawling around literally in the rafters, she was involved in everything, including landscaping, paint, you name it. She worked tirelessly with virtually everyone to produce this beautiful building. And Laura, I want to thank you for all that effort. So I hope you agree this is a special time for Canterbury. Our community has come together not just to build a building, but to support strong leadership and aspirational vision for the school. I truly believe our best times are ahead. Go Saints.
Go to the center, and back to go right in the center. Carl. I don't know. Go stay right back. I can try to photo. You gotta go behind. Go behind? Go behind. Oh, behind. Better for the photo. That's it.
I don't know who gets the scissors, but on behalf of us, just to wrap up, on behalf of all of us here today for Mr. and Mrs. Steers, we would like to offer them a gift as a very small token of our appreciation. All right, Saints, it's time for you to go to practice, and guests, it's time for us to celebrate. Have a great afternoon.